Hey, what is good? What is good? What is good, beautiful people? Of course, you know who I is, the good doc, Dr. Mike, back again, once again, with probably one of the most classic videos I will ever drop in, in a million years, okay? This is probably one of the more honest videos I'll ever make in my life because I feel that you guys deserve to know the truth. I might be black, but culturally, I am Filipino. Let me say that one more time. I might be black, but culturally, I am, or at least I feel, Filipino. Filipino. Let me explain so that you guys can get a general synopsis of what the good doc is talking about so that you guys can pick up exactly what I am putting down. I can't lie to you guys. Many of you guys know my story already. For those that don't know, moved to the Philippines right after I graduated high school, lived in the Philippines for close to 11 years. Then I came back home after I finished my studies, okay? Now, I cannot lie. The culture shock moving back home to the U.S. after living in the Philippines for 10 years was absolutely unnerving. I mean, the culture shock of being back in the United States was just weird. Nothing felt right, all right? You know, many of you guys know I had my little moment on the plane. You know, I made the video about crying when I was on a plane coming back from the Philippines. You guys know the story, so I don't need to get into detail about that one. But when I got back, things were so different for me in the United States that it was hard for me to adjust at all being back in the United States. And even into this day, when I go back home, I am not fully there. You understand? My heart and my soul lives in the Philippines, all right? So, first things first. The craziest thing that really blew my mind when I got off the plane in the United States, my head was spinning simply because I had not seen so many black people in one place in my whole entire life living in the Philippines. So when I got back, I was like, damn, there are so many black people here. And I say that to be funny, but I say that to be real and authentic with you guys as well. I'm not used to seeing black people in the Philippines. So seeing a whole bunch of black people at the exact same time, I think to myself, damn. I said, well, where the fuck am I? You understand? It really made me realize where I was in the moment, all right? And again, like I said, I hadn't seen so many black people at one time in my whole entire life for at least 10 years. So coming back to that, my mind was just not ready for it. And to put this into a perspective for you guys, like I said, I lived in the Philippines for 10 years. So I completely bypassed the Obama administration. I'm not talking about politics in general, but I want you to get an idea. I completely bypassed the Obama administration. I came home one time out of the whole 10 years about March of 2008. And I think the election year for him that year was November of 2008. So George Bush, as far as I know, was still president at that time. So imagine I lived overseas the entire Bush administration, right? And I jumped straight into the Trump administration. I came in about February of 2017. So this was probably a month after he had just gotten sworn into office, right? So they're basically his first few months on the job. And at that time, security, like the border security and everything coming back to the United States was tight. I mean, it was real tight. And, you know, if you guys remember, he had that travel ban from before about this time frame. I think it might have been a little bit later, but, you know, he had just gotten sworn into office. So the travel ban was tight. So border security was looking real hectic when I stepped off that plane in JFK. Shout out to JFK because that was my landing point when I got back. And I kind of felt like, damn, man, what a welcome party this was. You feel me? What a welcome party for me to come back to. All of this border security with the heavy artillery and shit already laced up with the, you know, with the bulletproof vest on and the fatigues looking like they ready for war. And I was like, okay, I fucks with this. I fucks with them on that one, right? But to be honest with you, I thought for a fact that they wouldn't let me back in. I honestly did. I felt like they made that I was not going to get back into the United States when I landed. If you guys want to know my true feelings, I felt like I was not going to get back in. I say that to be funny, but I say that to be real. I felt like I've been gone so long, not necessarily because I'm black, but I was gone for so long, and I was expecting, border security to hit me with all kind of questions and stuff like that. And I keep saying border security, but it was basically, when you guys touch down from international flights, whatever your introductory hub is, you got to fill out the paperwork and stuff. That's what I'm talking about, those people. So I was expecting a whole bunch of questions and all types of shit. They were going to vet me like, damn, why were you gone for so long? I was expecting that stuff, but it wasn't really that harsh, all right? So fast forward, I get back to North Carolina, and the first thing I felt was, goddamn, part of my language, how super cold it was in North Carolina when I got back. I mean, that shit hit me in the chest so hard, I couldn't breathe. Gotta understand, I'm in the Philippines for 10 years. The only weather I ever knew was hot and humid for 10 years. My body adjusted to hot and humid weather living there for 10 years. We had the rainy season, we got the hot season. 2 seasons only. Now I'm back, and I come back in winter. You understand? Now, my mom's told me before I got back it was going to be a little bit cold, so to bring a heavy jacket. I did, but the jacket that I had was not heavy enough. Again, I'm only prepared for Philippine weather. I'm nowhere near prepared for the winter weather. Again, I kind of feel like I might be black, but I identify culturally as Filipino. You understand? Now, the reason I feel that I relate a lot more to Filipinos than I do to my own kind, no disrespect, is because I lived amongst them for so long. So over my time living in the Philippines, I became a lot more budget conscious. I understood meal prep and understood meal stretching, not being wasteful, and understanding the third world mentality. I wanted to focus on that particular aspect as well. I developed what is known as a third world mentality. And again, a lot of people will throw a coin in the air and say, third world, it doesn't really exist or anything like that. But for the sake of this video, we'll say that the Philippines is a third world country. So that's what I developed. I understood that way of thinking. I understood that thought. I understood the power of the dollar more so than ever when I lived over there. I understood the means that I had, how grateful I am to be from where I'm from, and how it allowed me to live in a country where my money could go a whole lot further. But yet and still, my money went further, but I ended up learning how to live like a Filipino guy, or learning how to live like a Filipino in general. So that's why I tell you, I might be black, but culturally, I feel like I recognize or identify as Filipino. Shout out to all my Filipino people out there. And let me say something real quick, because I feel like this is probably the most important thing that I could say in reference to this particular video. I have not forgotten where I come from. Okay, that's not what this video is about. I have not forgotten who I am, where I come from. I am proud to be Black American. That's not what it is. I'm proud to be where I'm from. I'm proud to be who I am. But if you ask me how I identify, I feel as though I identify and relate more to Filipino people than I do my own people, because when I got back home, a lot of the people that I used to mess with, a lot of the people that I was cool with, they had not grown. They had not developed. They had not become something better than what they were in high school. They were still the exact same people. So when I got back home, I was really isolated. I couldn't hang around with people that I used to hang out with because I didn't want to. We were no longer on the same wavelength. We were no longer like-minded. And people tell you, you have to surround yourself with like-minded individuals to help yourself grow and progress, at your levels of achievement. And it doesn't necessarily just mean black people in general or African Americans in general. This could have been any friend that I've had in high school that remained the same as I've grown and progressed. I come back to the United States. I got a doctorate degree in business administration. Most people, with the exception of a chosen few, they went into the military. They did their 4 years. They got out. So, they're trying to do something better with their lives. Right? That's number one. Those people I fuck with and I respect. You got that military experience, so that puts you at a higher level, and that gives you an ability to compete in some markets, right? At least give yourself an opportunity to go to school, military pay for your college. I know a lot of people who took advantage of that. But for those that did not, for those that didn't take advantage of the opportunities that they could have had, or they kind of just found themselves a product of their own environment, they did not progress, they did not become something better than what they were in high school, I found myself distancing myself from them. And these are people that I consider to be like brothers to me. like my really true friends. But ultimately, I couldn't relate to them anymore. I had a travel conscious mind. And the first thing I thought when I touched down in the United States was, how quick can I get up out of here? That's really what I thought. I'm like, man, I am not comfortable here. Honestly, I'm not comfortable in the United States when I'm back home. I go through the motions. I do what I need to do. A lot of you guys know I do a lot of live streams when I'm back home. It gives me a chance to talk to you guys and, gear my mind towards what I'm trying to do next. So it's not as if I don't go back home. It's as if I'm not comfortable here and I don't want to stay here anymore. Again, it's no disrespect, but honestly, if you ask me, I might be black, but I feel like I identify culturally as Filipino. I lived amongst Filipinos for a third of my life. 10 years, at least, a third of my life. So I feel like these people are people that I can relate to a whole lot more than my own. Again, doesn't mean that I've lost my black card or anything like that. Doesn't mean that I don't understand my people. It's just as if I don't really fuck with them like I used to. You understand? I don't deal with them like I used to. And for good reason. You understand? It's not as if I've turned my back on my own race of people. It's just as if I feel like I can relate more to other individuals than my own. Some people may say, Doc, you sold out, this, that, and the other. And it's nothing like that, because I've never turned my back on my people. It's just that we no longer are on the same page or on the same wave. So I feel like I have to put myself in a better position, in a better situation to do better for me. And I feel like if you're not willing to do better for yourself, like I'm willing to do for myself, what do we have in common? What do we have in common now? What we had in common before, we were both high school kids. We were both just trying to figure out our lives, figure out what we were going to do next. Where we are now, I'm up here and you're down here. And that's not really a knock on anybody. That's just saying I'm trying to be a better version of myself, but yet and still you're complacent with who you are. So again, I tell you one more time, I might be black, but I feel like I identify culturally as Filipino. I feel like I could relate more to Filipino people because I was around them for a lot longer. Basically, in the developmental years of my life, from about 18 to about 28, roughly that range, basically me coming into my own, I came into my own in the Philippines. I can only imagine what my life would have been like should I opted not to go to college overseas in the Philippines. I can only imagine. I would probably be a manager at Hardee's or some shit, because that's what, shout out to Hardee's or Carl Jr.'s. That was my job before I moved overseas. Most people don't know that I worked in fast food up until I graduated. Matter of fact, I quit my job only 1 week before I was scheduled to fly home. And that was 1 week shy, just to make sure that I got a full check, right? And make sure that I was able to get my check. So I say that to say this, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes the people that you grew up with, you change, you develop, you progress, and you guys kind of grow up and grow apart. I'll still see my people. If I see them, I dap them up, show them some love. But ultimately, you'll never see me hanging around them anymore like I used to. And I feel like the same rules apply to all of us. If you guys feel like I feel, I'm a travel conscious person. Most of these guys feel, or most of the guys that I talk to are so stuck in their own ways that they will not take the opportunity that they have to travel, or they can't travel, or they would just rather be miserable in the United States, or they would just rather talk you down or talk you out of going back overseas because they can't do it themselves. If you've been around people like that, leave it in the comment section below. Let me know your story. I know I can't be the only one. I tell you, I'm black. There is no denying that. I might be black. I am black. I just wanted to say I might be black. But culturally, I feel like I identify culturally. I feel like I am Filipino. Heart and soul. Like I said, I can relate more to Filipino people because I've been around them long enough to understand what it is that makes them who they are. I feel like I understand a lot more about different diversities of individuals. It's not so much the black community and the black community alone. I know that shit. I grew up in that shit. I honed my own in that shit. Then I grew up as a child, made it to the Philippines, and then I really developed into a man in the Philippines. I was a child when I was in the United States growing up in a black community, but I grew up and became a man in the Philippine culture. So if you ask me one more time, culturally, I feel like that's one of the main reasons why I identify or that I am Filipino. And I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. A lot of people may take this a little bit differently, but let me know what you think. Let me know if you guys feel the exact same way that I do. All right. So with that being said, the good doc is officially out. At least nako paalam, which means I'm going now. Bye bye. As always, love you guys. Mahal kita. Mabuhay. Peace.